one issue that always comes up in situations like this for me is that there's always a feeling that there's so much more that wants to come out. There's so much more that I'd like to share with you. There's a feeling of being extremely limited by the actual structure of our togetherness here. But I think that's a good thing, but it's also a little bit painful. And in this last teaching session, I hoped really to just leave you with a few perspectives on transmission and on how the Mahamudra tradition understands the recognition of the non-dual state. Yesterday, after Diane's big mind process, we worked with that just a little bit and talked about it and experienced it. Today, I thought it was very interesting. Ken's concluding remarks pointed right at the experience, really, that gets right at the heart of the matter. In Mahamudra language, when Ken was talking about the situation that he was facing in terms of his physical embodiment, whereby he had two choices seemingly in each moment. One was to identify with the obstacle, and as he put it, that was a kind of catastrophic course. There's no end to the voices of complaint that could go along with that choice. Or the other option is to, again, recognize that one is not that one is actually something completely unconditioned, completely non-conceptual, completely unbounded by the limitations of form. One is empty. In our tradition, we talk about this as co-emergent wisdom. We say that in each mind moment of experience, that experience is presenting us with two options. One option is solidification. The other option is freedom. If we go back to our chart, the view of involution and evolution, what we see as we progressively work through the yanas, or the stages of disidentification from gross, subtle, causal to non-dual, is that as we let go of ego as the primary reference point, and then let go of soul, and let go of self with the capital S, and move into non-dual recognition, that we're, in a sense, shifting our experiential center of gravity out of gross witnessing, then a more subtle witnessing that we could call soul, to an even extremely subtle witnessing, the causal level, to the point where the witness itself begins to become questionable, to the point then where the witness itself self-liberates as a reference point at all. And what we're left with is experience itself, without self and without other as any kind of reference point. We're thrown directly into the isness or the suchness of experiential reality. Tara, if you could hand me the crystal ball. Thank you. The way that the path is described in Mahamudra is that we gradually make ourselves more susceptible to the experience of our non-dual nature by moving through these stages of transformation. And as we move through these stages of transformation, there's two qualities of our being that start to become available to us. One is renunciation, or the ability to know within our witnessing capacity what to accept and what to reject from the point of view of what tends towards a mind that is free of perspectival grasping, and what tends towards a mind which is apt to grasp and say, that perspective, that self, that mind is me. And the projection of that mind is my world. The other quality that's said to dawn within us is love. And this love is given two names within the Vajrayana tradition. One is devotion, which is to say we begin to generate an emotional relationship to this changing center of gravity that we're beginning to experience. We begin to long for it. In the traditional literature, this longing takes the form of the teacher or the guru. In the traditional Vajrayana context, it takes the form of the unification of the yidam, of the deity, and the actual person of the guru. The only caveat I would have added today to Ken's answer to your question, Michael, is that his answer was fantastic in terms of dismantling the dysfunctionality of the outer guru principle in the modern and postmodern world. But there was a piece missing in terms of the activization of the inner guru principle, which in a genuine contemplative environment is the real purpose of the guru. It's to actually return the wisdom back to the disciple. It's not to own an objective reference point in relation to the projections of the disciple. The actual purpose of the guru principle is to return those projections to the student. So a lot of distinction is made in the Mahamudra tradition between the outer guru principle and the inner guru principle. The outer guru technically is defined as a lineage holder, someone who can talk about the actual dharma that's been taught, and the actual books, texts, descriptions of the lineage of transmission. Then the inner guru is described as being the relationship that begins to unfold with the phenomenal world, where as we become more attuned and sensitized to our own nature, the phenomenal world starts to mirror back to us the very nature of our mind. And then it's said that the innermost guru is the nature of mind itself. The biggest problems I see in terms of the guru-student relationship or teacher-student relationship is where there's attachment on either side to the form. The most profound teachers that I've experienced, they seem to have no attachment to keeping you stuck as their student. They have a great deal of interest in pointing out the nature of mind and giving you some sort of structure to continue to dismantle your obscurations. But then when all of the other organizational dynamics and interpersonal dynamics get thrown into the mix, all of the things that Ken was pointing out become extremely relevant. So I think it's important to differentiate between guru principle as an outer phenomena and the actual purpose of it within the tradition.